All right, welcome everybody back to the Big Douglas Show. We are live today, as always. George Carmi joins me. George, what's happening?
Not much, man. Looking forward to the football season, man. Excited. Thursday night football, baby.
It's getting ready to happen real soon. And first time to the show, the host of the Porch Report, one of my favorites on Twitter,
That's
is
right.
Richmond John. John, what's happening?
What up, boys? What up? What up?
I love that little segment that you do.
Appreciate it.
And of course, Adam usually is here. He's running a little late. He might join us a little bit as we go. So it's football real. This is the week. It's go time, right? Everything switches back for the show. So make sure you've hit the notification button so you don't miss any. Obviously, we'll be doing Opposition Wednesdays every Wednesday with somebody covering the team from the other way, if that makes sense. And then we'll have somebody that covers the team every Friday here. George, Adam, and I, and other assorted guests will be recapping the games every Monday. Today, we're going to go through the schedule, boys, and see what it looks like. We'll do a little record prediction. So easy enough. I think we all know we start out at home against the Cardinals. George, this feels like a no-brainer.
I agree. I think I try to be an objective fan, but I think we're going to run them, dude. I think Arizona really isn't that strong of a team. There is some deficits on their offense. They're still rebuilding. They're clearly rebuilding as a team. What I said yesterday in a different podcast, I want Washington to get out early and I want them to kind of put their foot on their necks of the Cardinals. I want them to get ahead and basically make the game not close. The only concern I do have is that potentially we do start off slow, especially on our defense. But I think we're going to win this one probably by 7 or 10 points. So the win goes to Washington, in my opinion.
Nice. John, it's the sellout. I think the first one since 2012. And then I think maybe the funny line from Jason Wright was, we have had a sellout against the Eagles, but it was all Eagles fans.
Right.
And I played for the Cardinals, and they don't travel.
Exactly.
So I think this is actually a sellout with fans. The odd thing is they get off to slow starts, man.
They do.
I've not figured out why that is with Ron. It goes all the way back to Carolina.
Yeah.
John, you expect a blowout in this thing or what?
It's hard to say. I think because they got practice against the Ravens, they were able to measure. I mean, Logan Paulson talked about this. He spoke about how they got to measure themselves against like other competition. And normally they come on the wrong side of that, right? They usually end up looking like the weaker team. I think they're prepared. Arizona's tanking, man. I mean, they're being given a gift. As long as they go in there and stay focused, I mean, they should cover. Like, what's the line on it? 7?
I think
6.5.
Yeah,
6.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah,
and that
easy dub.
6.5 feels a little light, by the way.
To me too. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I think and can I say I've never seen an NFL team tank. Like, not in the way basketball did.
Not like this.
You can't tell players not to play, right? They obviously want to play. They're trying to put out tape.
Right.
But the way you tank is by just getting rid of every good player that you have.
Yeah.
Which they've done. I guess they felt blessed by the Kyler Murray injury, right? Like,
yeah,
we're already here, so let's just do it.
Right.
But it's not. I've never seen it before.
I've never seen this either. Have you, George? I mean, it feels like they're legit saying, hey, this is what we're doing.
I've never seen an intentional tank before, but I think they are being intentional about it now. They actually have the Texans' first-round pick as well, and I don't think the Texans are going to be that great of a team. So I can see the Texans being a top 10 pick, maybe a top 5 pick, along with what they have right now. And I can see them getting maybe Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. to kind of start off the year and kind of rebuild quickly next year. So it is kind of surprising. I'm kind of shocked by this, but it is what it is.
George, I know over the next couple of days, you and I are going to talk to a couple of different Cardinals insiders. I'm curious to see what their thoughts are.
Yeah, me too.
On this. And what you're supposed to do with Kyler Murray now, because they just gave him a huge contract. I guess we've seen, like with Matt Ryan, you can just do these and take a huge hit.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you'd want to. Interesting to see if they'll trade off the first pick and just collect pieces and continue around Kyler Murray. Or what they'll do there, because it's odd they gave him a big contract like just last year, right?
Or trade Kyler Murray and potentially get some more draft picks to kind of move around with that as well. It'd be interesting, right? Like, let's say the 49ers, for instance, right? They're a team ready to compete. They wanted a mobile quarterback. They tried out Trey Lance. It didn't really work with him and Kyle Shanahan. Maybe Kyler Murray would be the potential there. Kyler Murray's supposed to play in the second half of the year, and he'll be auditioning for new teams. So that'll be something interesting to watch. Be good.
We'll talk about some of the team actually Trey Lance is on a couple of teams on the schedule or has been. That thing's odd to me too. I'd love to know who actually wanted Trey Lance because most people have said to me, it must be Shanahan. That's the kind of quarterback that he always wanted. However, if Shanahan's the one that spent 3 first-round draft picks on him, you'd think he'd be forcing him into action, not trading him around for parts. Yeah. So I'm curious who made that decision because they didn't force it. Most teams would force it after spending so much on a guy.
Yeah.
All right, George, mark us all down for wins at home week
Dub.
1. All right, sounds good.
All right, on to the next game. They fly out to Denver. This is an interesting game to me. And to me, it's odd to say that one of the more important games could be in week 2. But I think you got to win. If you have any hopes making the playoffs and getting to 10 or 11 wins, which I think it probably takes, particularly the division's pretty good this year, I think you got to win this one. I think they can. I'm not sure if the offense was just terrible or if Russ is cooked. I think we'll find that out pretty quickly. I still like them beating this team, particularly with the injuries they've had on offense. This should be another game that they could, I think, win kind of easily. And I'm not a big Sean Payton fan, so we'll see how he does there. John, where are you at here out in the Mile High City?
I'm not a Russ believer, man. I think he's regressed big time. And there was actually Sean Payton made some comments earlier, a couple months, maybe a few months back, where he basically said, "Look, I got a mess to clean up." I mean, that was, I'm paraphrasing. I mean, you can look it up, but he basically said, "I got a mess to clean up," and he's telling you that, it's going to take some time. I'm sure Russ can return to form, but I mean, we're talking week 2.
Yeah.
So, I don't know about playing in altitude. You know what I mean? Like that could be tough for players. I've never experienced that, so if they're on the ground with a couple days ahead of time, you know what I mean? They should get acclimated. So I feel like they could compete. I really do. I really think they can go win the game there. So I got them at 2-0.
2-0. I like it.
George?
I'm right there with you guys. I think Denver could potentially bounce back and have a good year with Sean Payton because I do believe in him as a coach. I just think it's too early in the year. There's too many unknowns. They're not going to have any chemistry at this point. 2 games into the season. I'm with John. I think Russell Wilson is significantly regressed. I'm not really confident in him at all. So I think he's going to struggle all year, to be honest with you. And I think just catching him at week 2 is going to be a good thing for us. So 2-0. We're all looking pretty good so far. Good September for Washington.
All right. On to game 3 at home versus Buffalo. No Von Miller, which is nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a game swinger. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that one piece makes me feel like they're going to be able to get Buffalo. But I'll tell you this. 2 weeks in, if they win both those games, they're going to be on a heater. That should then be another sold out game at home. I think I'm going to go Buffalo win. I think it's really close. And I think that's the game, win or loss in that, win or lose in that game. If they compete, I think again, like 2-1 and your only loss being to Buffalo, I think still gives you the energy to keep pushing through what is going to look like a very tough schedule by the end of the year. George, where are you at here with a team in Buffalo that a lot of people have going to the Super Bowl?
Just for the record, you said L to Buffalo, is what you said?
I think they're going to lose to Buffalo at home.
And I agree with you as well. I think, I think Washington's going to be a competitive team, but I think Buffalo is kind of that like marquee where you want to be in the NFL this year. I think they do have a lot of firepower. I think they're going to push our limits because Buffalo's defense is strong as well. So they're going to have a pass rush. They're going to be coming at Sam Howell. They're going to be testing him for the first time. And I think, Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, mobile quarterbacks give Washington a hard time. So it's like, I think Washington's going to fight, but I think it's going to be a punch in the mouth. I think we're probably going to lose maybe by 10 points. I think Buffalo's going to get us that game. So, as being honest, I think 2-1, first loss of the year, Buffalo.
Yeah. I mean, they travel well too, right? So Buffalo fans travel well. So this is an opportunity for the fans. Like if they do start off 2-0, like show out. The fans got to really show out. Buy those tickets. Don't let the Bills fans pick them up on the secondary market. Go fill the stadium with Commanders fans. And actually, I might even go to that game. That's be a good
blast. Be awesome, man.
Yeah, and I agree with George. Like they're when I say this, don't take it the wrong way. They're weak up the middle. I don't mean that they're weak at the D tackle spot. I just mean they're susceptible to the run, especially against athletic quarterbacks.
Hmm.
So I think the offense is going to put up some points for the Bills, right? So it's going to come down to how loud that stadium is. Can they get them to have some false starts? Can they get lucky and get a couple of turnovers? And the offense has just got to keep the pedal down and stay with them. I got an L here, but I think it's going to be a close game. I really do.
I do too. I think the defense is set up to match pretty evenly. Both defenses are built the same, obviously, because they both came out of the same system there that Ron set up. I think maybe like a 3-point game I could see. The defense is going to be hungry this year. There's some guys on there looking for contracts, and I don't think that's being talked enough. Like, to me, Montez Sweat is a double-digit sack guy this year, and I don't see the rest of the line regressing.
Right.
To me, again, Cam Curl's looking for a contract. So these guys should be playing and fired up to do well. The linebacker thing doesn't have me quite as concerned.
You can hide them. I agree.
As it does other people.
Yeah.
Just because the coaching staff has said, we're not concerned about the linebacker. We're going to play 5-6 big DBs that fly all over the place more often than we're going to run multiple linebackers out there. So, okay. So week 3, I think we all agree. I think that's going to be a huge game, but I think
it's going to be fun.
Trying to be realistic, I think I'll go loss here to Buffalo, which again is not like you shouldn't feel shameful if you lose to Buffalo.
Class of the league. And that's going to be fun. Just for watching sake, it's going to be Emmanuel Forbes' first real test, right? Coming out of Arizona, coming out of Denver, there really isn't a marquee top 5 wide receiver. Stephon Diggs on Forbes is going to be must-watch TV. It'll be a lot of fun for us. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
No doubt. Hey, real quick, going back to game 1, the Twitter question of the day was, who scores the first touchdown for Washington for the season?
Go ahead, John. I'll jump in after.
I'm cheating here because I saw somebody say this, but I'm going to pick another person. I'm going to say Brian Robinson. I'm going to say we get a run. We get a run for the first TD by
George
B. Rob.
Man, he stole my pick. I wanted Brian Robinson as well. I think it's going to be the same thing. I think it's going to be slow. Go ahead.
I haven't looked at the post in a while, which there were tons of answers, but it feels like Dotson and Robinson were the two that got the most answers. And I don't know if that's because a lot of people think that Terry's not going to play week 1, but those definitely were by far the 2 biggest answers that I saw before that. Okay, on to week 4, away to Philadelphia we go. I've got a loss here. When we do these preseason prediction things or before the season predictions, I generally just give each NFC East team the home win because, I don't know, everything's so fluky there, unless the team's just terrible, right? Like there were a couple of bad years for teams.
Right.
So I'll say that we're going to lose to Philadelphia on the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Eagles front, man, and then you're talking about Hurts another year in the program. Well, actually, they switched out their OC and DC, I believe. I mean, they've got some coaching changeover. I don't know if that's the case on both sides of the ball, but I know they've got some coaching turnover. So we'll see, but I got an L there. I just think the Eagles are going to be a tough team. They're going to be a tough team for years to come. So, yeah.
I think the fact that they have such a strong offensive line is just they can just bully a little bit, right? They play bully ball, and plus Jalen Carter on the defensive line as well. They're going to be pretty strong. It's going to be a pretty competitive game. All NFC East games are coin flips, but I think it's early on in the season. I'm giving them the benefit. If health is everything's good with health, I think Philadelphia wins the game.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I was talking to the guy who covers the Eagles the other day as part of the summer series, and it's just different. Not the class of fan, because I love our fans, but it's just what they're used to in Philadelphia right now. We're thinking about hoping to get to 9 wins. Can we get to 11 wins?
Right.
You talk to Philly fans, man, it's Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just it was a good reminder of where we're trying to get to. And I hate that that's where they're at, but it was just noticeable when I was thinking in my mind about 10, and he's definitely like we're trying to get to 12, 13, 14 wins and go have a Super Bowl season. I'm thinking, man, that must be nice.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Well, we had no chance in hell with Snyder. Like we were stuck in purgatory. Like know, and the fact that he's gone is like the sky's the limit at this point. So it doesn't quite
George,
feel the same.
George, you shared one of the articles where they were talking to agents. Maybe it was Standig's post.
Yeah.
And it was basically like agent said, nobody talks about Washington. And why would I ever tell one of my clients to go to Washington when you never know what's going to happen from year to year? And to
Right.
your point, John, all that changes now.
Yeah.
And that's how you win, right? You got to be able to convince guys to come play for you, and they
Yeah.
just
Right.
couldn't do that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
completely different culture now. I mean,
Yep.
from top to bottom.
John, you mentioned Fields. They've got the Bears at home October 5th. This is a Thursday night game, right? Is this the Thursday night game?
Yeah, I
Yep.
think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Fields. I've often said I thought that was Ron's biggest mistake was not trading up for Fields. Whether he panned out or not, at least it was like
Yeah.
making a forcing the quarterback situation early. I think they'd have been in a different place now. They've made a lot of moves. This Bears team, I think, is going to surprise some people, not only on offense, but adding Tremaine Edmonds on defense, who I kind of
Sure.
thought maybe this team would go after. Again, shows you everything they think about the linebacker position because
Sure.
they could have, and he didn't actually get paid all that much, as I recall. To me, this is a home win, and I'm not sure. I think it's remotely close. I 6 points here. I could see. I think they ought to get on top of these guys.
Yeah. George, you want to go? Or you want me to go?
Yeah, well, I'll go first. Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
think
Yeah.
same thing. I think Chicago, they're still a growing team. They're still a developing team. Justin Fields is an ample runner. I don't know if I believe in his passing game right now. So I think our defense will kind of create some problems there. I think he will get his though. He's going to run. He'll probably get a rushing touchdown that game. But I think Washington's going to win pretty easily that game. I can see us getting that W in a long rest, a 10-day break till our next game.
Right. And you've got the rehearsal with Josh Allen, right? So that
Exactly.
guy, that's super dynamic. I mean, not only can he throw the ball, but he's dynamic in the run game. So, I think they'll be prepared. So I got to
Well,
dub
to
Washington.
your point, John, they'll have just gotten through playing the Eagles with Hurts.
That's
You
true.
got two, exactly. You got two of
Right.
them. You know, you
Mhm.
got two guys there that are athletic and have some. It's interesting to me too because Hurts, Fields could really if he ups his game in terms of the pass
Yeah.
game, like he really
Mhm.
could be that kind of Hurts guy with even more of it. He's probably a better athlete, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
way
Think
more
about it.
Yeah,
dynamic.
100%.
I just got to see it first. I'm with
Yeah.
George. I got to see it first before I can say, hey, they possibly win this game. So I got the Commanders with a dub.
All right, so everybody's got the Bears for that round.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next we go to Atlanta. I want to go down there and check out that stadium sometime. I
It's
heard
gorgeous.
it's amazing. I know.
Is it?
Just,
Yeah, never been.
yeah, it's very nice. Mm.
Okay, the Atlanta Falcons. This is an interesting team. This is one oddly enough where I think nationally people are kind of high on what their offense could be. I'm not sure that I necessarily see it yet. They've got weapons. I'm not sure that I like Ritter. I guess they've got our guy Heineke down there, but to
Yeah.
me, they're where the Commanders were like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I like that.
They're putting it together. They're building it a little bit. I think personally the Commanders are so close. If Sam Howell can be anywhere close to what they're hoping he can be, then I think the team has a chance to be really good. For them it'll be new offense, new
Right.
pieces on the offensive line. Sam Howell's really only played one game. I think I get all that, but I guess I'm just confident in the weapons and the way that this defense is built to really slow teams down, grind out pace if they want to, hopefully turn the ball over. This team didn't turn the ball over at all last year, 28th in the league. So as
Right.
while the defense was tops in the league, it kind of slowing teams down, as particularly on third down, they didn't turn the ball over at all. So, but I like them against the Falcons here.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you have a one-dimensional team, which I think the Falcons are at this point, they're going to put it in Bijan Robinson's hands.
Yeah.
They're going to try to get him the ball as much as possible. So anytime you can make a team one-dimensional on, an offense, I feel like the Commanders get a dub here. I really do. I think Atlanta's probably going to get, to that next stage of maybe competing for a playoff berth here and there down the road. But I don't know enough about Ritter. I mean, I saw him in college. I wouldn't really impressed with him in the league yet. I don't think Heineke gives you anything. He didn't give us anything last year. You know what I mean? Like I'm just not a believer in Atlanta, so I got to give it to the Commanders here.
I think Washington pulls it out as well. I agree with what John said. They're one-dimensional, and it's funny. Everything that they're good at, we can counter. Right? They have a great
Right.
rushing team, we have a great defensive line. So maybe you can sustain and suppress Bijan Robinson. Drake London's a pretty big wide receiver, but he's not fast. We have these quicker, more fast twitch cornerbacks who can keep up with him. And then Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has kind of been up and down so far in his career.
He's the only guy that scares me really on that team.
If he gets going, that's true.
The history of our team, he's the only guy that scares me there.
He is pretty scary. We have Cam Curl, though, so I think Cam Curl will cover him there. It will be interesting. It'll be kind of. Would you guys want to watch Taylor Heineke come back against us? Would that be like if Desmond Ridder 100%. Is not out? Would that be fun to watch?
100%. Oh, I'd love to see that.
That'd be fun as hell. I think so too. I agree with you.
Yeah.
If it would be total meltdown time if Taylor Heineke came out in the second half and led them to like a comeback victory.
Jesus,
the whole fan base would just like.
Yeah, Sabah would be calling every radio station. Sabah would be like.
Oh yeah,
she would
the radio would love
together, exactly.
Radio gold the next day for sure, good or bad.
Yeah.
Jeez. All right, then they go. So that's a clean sweep for the Commanders there. Then on the road again the following week to the Giants. I like this Giants team, and I think it shows you exactly what coaching does. Because they really didn't add any pieces last year, and they were significantly better. They added a better offensive coordinator, and you could kind of see exactly what – remember, Jay Gruden wanted Daniel Jones back in that draft. He went early, but I think a lot of people saw what he was capable of, and he's huge.
Yeah.
That's a big dude. So, again, my scenario is just to always trade off. I'll give them the win here as I'll give us the win when we play the Giants at home. But I like this team in New York. The weapons aren't great. So I think, again, the defense has a chance of slowing them down if Daniel Jones just doesn't pull a Daniel Jones and get all busy on us. I can't even imagine how much money this team has made Daniel Jones over his lifetime because I think all of his wins come against us.
Yeah.
100%. He just sent us an edible arrangement like down to FedEx Field, just kind of like celebrate the money that he's getting there. I'm going to give us a win here. I honestly, whenever I see the Giants play, Washington just kind of falls on themselves. They do everything wrong, give the game away to New York. But for whatever reason, I feel like we're going to split this year, and I think we're going to get the win in New York this year. So I'm giving us a W there.
Adam, glad you made it. How are you, my friend?
Good. How you doing, guys?
Good. We're in week 7, October 22nd. Giants on the road at the Giants. Who you like here?
Well, I'm gonna give them a win at home. So at New York, that's gonna be an L for me. I think they'll split.
Yep, that's how I did too.
Yeah, I've got them splitting. I think it's a tough matchup. I just do. I think it's for whatever reason the Giants, give them hell. It's just, it's a tough matchup. I'm not even that comfortable giving them a win at home, but we'll see once we get there. But right now, definitely on the road against the Giants, I have the L for sure.
All right.
So that's all L. George, you went.
I'm the outlier there.
There you go. Hey, there's always one. All right. The next week we catch the Eagles at home. Again, I had this as a win, but I think if there was anybody that we lost both games to, it's this one. I just think that they have, to me, I've talked to a bunch of people in the offseason that really love the Cowboys roster. To me, the Eagles have the better roster. They have the more complete, deeper roster to me. Their offensive line, I think, is the best in football, and their defensive line is probably close to it. So I could see us losing both of these games. But I also like the way we compete against the Eagles. And that's why I always say that I just like to split these things because that's just how it tends to go in the division. So as I will with all of the in-division games, I'll take a win here for the Manders.
Yeah.
John?
I think they match up well against the Eagles. I'm going to probably say they'll split, but we'll see. So if it's, if we're talking about the home game, I got them beating the Eagles. I think they can at least split with them.
George, how do you like this game?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's funny. Like, there's no logic to it. Like, the Eagles are better on paper. The roster is deeper up and down. But for some reason or another, we seem to strategize. We seem to kind of put things together. We seem to play ball control offense. And I think we're going to pull out a win here, too. So why not? I'll split it with them as well. W.
Adam, did you expect it to be mostly ball control offense for the team this year, or you think they'll be a little bit more aggressive with Bieniemy?
It'll be interesting because I think it'll be a lot of ball control, but I think in Arizona, I think they're really going to test them out, and I think they're gonna let them air it out a little bit. But for the most part this year, I think when they play the tough defenses like Philadelphia, Dallas, even some of the better ones, I think they will try to really dictate everything by the run. And like we talked about before, I think we're going to see a heavy dose of screens in this offense, and I think that's where you're going to see guys like AG really explode. But it'll be interesting. But yeah, I think for the most part, they're going to ease. I don't think they're going to put too much on Sam Howell early on.
Hey, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Did you guys get a chance to go out to training camp very much?
George went out. I didn't
I went a
get
couple
up there
times.
for it.
So are they doing quick game stuff? I mean, I know they're working on screen stuff, but do you see a lot of? I didn't see a lot of that in the preseason. Like
Yeah,
where
they're
they're
not gonna
really,
ship
really getting the
that.
ball out quick.
But they're
Yeah,
gonna they're definitely going to do tempo.
Yeah.
think so?
So in regard to quick, what are you referring to? Like kind of like situational football? Like it seemed like they were. It seemed what I liked about training camp is that Sam Howell was getting to the line with like 15, 20 seconds, like on the actual play clock, which I like. 'Cause
Right.
I want like, I don't know if you know this at all, but basically the coach can speak into the microphone up into the 15-second mark.
Sure.
So I like the fact that he's walking the line and having that coach in regard to that, but it wasn't like hurry up off. I didn't see a lot of that, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I feel like they're not going to show a lot to the public practices, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know the interior line situation. I think it's. I mean, Logan Paulson thinks it's a strength, actually.
Mhm.
I don't know about them out in space, and my only reference point is last year. So not necessarily quick game because that's not really Eric Bieniemy. It's not really an extension of Andy Reid. You didn't see a lot of that, but
Yeah.
in terms of getting the ball out in the screen game, I agree. I think they're actually going to do a lot of that, but we probably just didn't see very much of what they're actually going to do in the preseason. I think it was
If
just
you're-
basic concepts.
And
The
John,
num-
if
the
you're,
number-
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, George.
I'll just say, if you're talking about short passes, they did that a lot. I think that was kind of like, I think that's why Dotson's getting a lot of steam in this kind of like local media circles, because the entire thing was like quick slants, little hitches. It was always
Sure.
Jahan Dotson checkdowns, which
Yeah.
wasn't a part of our game last year. Like we used to hold the ball a lot, and that's why Carson Wentz got sacked all the time. So I think the quick passing game is there, but I don't know if it's like the up tempo,
Sure.
like
Right.
whatever. Yeah, in that regard. Go ahead.
The number I always use is the 9 touchdowns for Jerick McKinnon last year in the passing game.
Sure.
The second most receiving touchdowns on the Chiefs last year from the running back. So I think that's going to be huge for Gibson, and I think they're going to do a lot of that. And to your point, George, it's funny. You can get to the line quickly and not be running quick game too, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I definitely think the pace of play they want to get to the line at and take a look at is going to be much faster than what we saw last year. And I believe they'll let Howell make some checks. That was the odd thing last year, is that they didn't let anybody make those checks at the line. And I don't understand how you could have a quarterback and not let them do that. Like, you're in the NFL, for God's sake. Like, you should have to be trusted to make checks at the line.
Absolutely.
100%.
Okay. Following week, we where do we go? We go on the road to Foxborough to face the Patriots. I don't think this Patriots team is very good.
They stink.
Thank you. They stink.
They stink.
So I mean, I'll take again. I think Washington may be big here in a statement game. Adam, what do you think about this team on the road here?
I agree. I think that's going to be one of their big games this year because, Kyle Duggar is a guy I love. I interviewed a couple years ago, great safety, kind of a Cam Curl for them, can, play that hybrid linebacker role, but they need another 6 of him because that defensive backfield and everybody all together, I just think our receivers, I just don't think they can handle them. So I think Washington, gets like at least, a 10-point and 2 touchdown win in that matchup.
George, you like them big here?
I don't know if I like them big, but I do like them. I think New England is going to be kind of rebuilding this year. They're still kind of questioning themselves with Mac Jones. I wouldn't be surprised if like Bill Belichick, he always kind of like has that foresight. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like starting to like deassemble the team and kind of like start focusing on next year's draft for a new quarterback, or maybe even walking away. So I can kind of see him going that direction. So I think they are kind of in rebuild mode. So I can see Washington pulling out a win here.
Yeah,
John?
I think Bill Belichick's going to do the professional tank. You know what I mean? Like to George's point, the quiet quitting. You know what I mean? So I have a win for the Commanders. I just think he's going to move to the front office, possibly. Definitely not, or maybe move on to another coaching gig where he gets a boatload of money. But yeah, definitely have a win for the Commanders.
It's amazing to me. I mean, it's not amazing because of all the success, obviously, but it's kind of crazy what Belichick gets away with. Like, He just made the defensive coordinator the offensive coordinator last year. I was like, what's wrong with that? I could do
Right.
that. Doesn't that happen all the time? It's like, no, it kind of doesn't. He'll take the special teams.
Was that Matt
coordinator and say,
Patricia?
"Yeah, you be the defensive coordinator now."
Is that what he did, Matt Patricia? That was that dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he's a
Offensive
rocket
coordinator.
scientist, so he can, I'm sure he can just do
Nobody
whatever.
else in the
Yeah,
league gets away
exactly.
with that but Belichick. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
That equity.
yeah,
This okay, so George, we got a clean sweep for the
Patriots.
Commanders on this one.
Yeah.
Then they fly all the way out to Seattle the following week. It's kind of a heck of a road trip here.
yeah.
This to me is one of the games I have circled on the schedule with
I
a
agree.
question mark. To me, this is another one of those games. You want to make the playoffs, you want to go out and be a contender in the NFC. You got to beat a team, which again, I think, Geno Smith's got to show me again, right? Like, I mean, he had a great year last year. Generally, it doesn't take 10 years to get there. So was it just the scheme fit? I don't know what led to that success last year. He'll have to show me again. I'm not as high on the Seattle team. Now, you talk about a division that went from first to like last. That division to me is not as good as it has been. So I'll take the Commanders here, I think, as well.
Yeah.
George, what do you think about this trip out to Seattle?
So I kind of like Seattle. I like the talent they're adding to the team. I like Devin Witherspoon. I like Derek Woolen. I think they have Kenneth Walker, Geno Smith. They have some good talent. Jackson Smith and Jigba, good wide receivers there. I think they're a very competitive team. I think they're going to be competing for the wild card in the playoffs as well. And just like you, Doug, I think they're the type of team that we have to beat if we want to go and compete in the wild card race. But I think just flying out to Seattle, being there, I think it's going to be a close game. I think we're going to kind of fall just a little bit short because I feel like just going there is going to be a little bit tough game for them. So I think Seattle's going to win.
Adam, what do you think about this trip?
I think everyone looks at their receivers and Geno Smith and, they look at that. But I look at their run game. Carbonate, they drafted a UCLA day 2 sleeper. I loved him.
Yeah.
I've watched him for the last 3 years. Between him and Walker, I think that's a pretty viable run game. They've upgraded the offensive line. For me, I think by then Washington will be one of the best run defenses in the NFL. So, yeah, I think they stop the run with that, make them one-dimensional. I think Washington takes this. In a close game, but Washington takes this. I like that surface for Washington's wide receivers for sure.
Hey, Adam, real quick, did you have a win or loss against Philadelphia?
I got them splitting, so I'm going to take the one at home.
Okay.
I'll take Washington win, and then the one at Philadelphia loss.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man. I was just looking at their schedule last year to try to get an idea of like strength of schedule and like their opponents, like who went to the playoffs. And I'm not impressed. I mean, to be honest with you, Geno played really well, but I think that schedule is fairly soft and they didn't beat anyone notable just by scanning it. So when you measure the two teams, I can't pick the Seahawks to win that game, even though it's at home. I get that it's going to be at what's the name of that stadium now?
Lumen Stadium?
Lumen
Field?
Stadium. Yeah.
Mhm.
That place is rocking. I mean, it's crazy.
Mhm.
But I mean, what week are we talking about here? We're now into week 8 or week 9.
I think deeper than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Week
10.
10. Yeah.
Seattle's week 10.
I mean, I don't know what their strength of schedule is right now, but I mean, you would imagine that division is going to be tough. It usually is. I can't pick the Seahawks. I got to go with Commanders on the road here.
I love it.
So that is that a clean sweep, George?
I'm the outlier there. I have the L. You guys have the W's.
Okay. All right, then they fly all the way back. They catch the Giants at home again. Like I said, I'll take the Giants at home on this one. Which if that works out, then we're now on a 1, 2, 3. That'd be 4-game winning streak right in the middle of the season, which is kind of what they do.
It is what they
Yeah.
do.
Right.
So I'll take a win here, Giants at home. Adam, where you're the same way. You're
I'm
splitting.
splitting. Yeah, I think Washington takes their home NFC.
John, you're splitting.
I'm splitting. Yeah,
Okay.
and I think I had
George?
them on a loss on the road, so at
Yeah.
home I got the win.
Yeah, I'm
George,
splitting.
what-
So I'm splitting. So in this case, I'm taking the loss. I have them winning, but
yeah, that's right.
in opposing stadiums. I'm having them win in New York and lose in DC.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, right. All right, then they go on the road to Dallas.
Is that Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a Thanksgiving game.
I think I'm going to pull a George here and switch it and
Nice.
Me too.
because they're actually pretty good on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
trying to think in recent years they played pretty good. So
Feels like it.
I'll pull the Carmi here and go Commanders win on the road on Thanksgiving. John, what do you think?
I like it. I don't respect the Cowboys, man. I don't feel. I'm not feeling the Cowboys this year. I'm not. Their defense is a monster, though, and
Yeah.
so because I think the defense is going to be one of the best, if not the best in football, they're really good. They're a really good front.
If their offensive line is any good, because they added Brandon Cooks too, which I always forget. They've
Yeah.
added some. They've got a lot of speed on offense too.
And they got that scat back. What's his name? Deuce
Vaughn.
Deuce
Yeah,
Vaughn.
yeah.
I mean, if he's involved at all in that pass game, which I think he will be.
Yeah.
Dak's up and down. He had a down year last year. I don't know, but he's a good quarterback. So I wish I could take the Commanders, man, but I gotta go. I gotta go with the Cowboys.
Gotcha. I'm gonna pull a Doug. Doug's pulling to me with the home and home. I'm doing. So I think Dallas is gonna win at home. I think we're gonna win later on. So I think I'm gonna take the L right now. I would love it though. A win on Thanksgiving. Nothing is sweeter and more pleasant than a Thanksgiving meal with
Amen.
a Washington win. I love it. So,
Yeah.
but I just think it's not gonna happen this year.
And
what do you-
if they did, that'd be like 5 in a row there, and they'd
That'd be
really
fantastic.
Now you're
rolling.
really rolling. Yeah.
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 Adam, you're
Hey,
last year on Thanksgiving.
That's the one game I have them winning away in the NFC East. Yeah.
I love it. That'd be great.
Yeah.
2 Georges on that one.
All right, there you go. Exactly right.
All right, then they catch Miami at home. This is another one I have with a question mark on it. I like this Miami team. To me, they kind of feel like right where the Commanders are. They're kind of built the same. I think they've kind of got the same weapons. They've got those 2 great receivers. So do we. So I kind of like the way this shapes out at home with the question mark. Oh wait, John, what do you think?
Curveball.
Well, yeah, look because I got a certain number in my head. You know what I mean? I gotta be realistic. We're not gonna, I just don't feel like a 6 out of 7 type win in the middle of the schedule. Although Ron Rivera, I mean, he's a magic man. He figures out a way. So it's quite possible. But I got to give him an L here. I for whatever reason, I just feel like that could be sort of a trap game, especially if they win, against the Cowboys. But they will have rest, right? They will have extra days, couple of extra days rest there. So, yeah, I'm going to give them an L.
Doug, what did you say? You say win or loss? What did you say? Just so I can-
I'm holding out till I.
you're holding out.
everybody
Okay.
else.
He's waiting on us.
I'm gonna wait and see.
Okay,
Maybe-
okay.
Like it.
Maybe somebody will
Gotcha.
change my opinion here.
No problem.
George,
I'll-
go ahead. Yeah.
I'll go. So I think Miami, they're a tough matchup. I see very similar parallels with the Bills, where they have an explosive offense. They have, Tyreek Hill, man. I can't wait to watch him live. It's gonna be so much fun to watch him in DC.
Yeah,
Jalen
he's
Waddle, Devin A-Chain, Mostert. They have a lot of speed. Tua can move too. Hopefully he's still healthy at that point. I think that they're going to get up. It's going to be a competitive game, but their firepower is a little bit too much for us. I think we're going to take a loss to Miami, in my opinion.
Adam, what do you think? You got one more spot to change my mind here. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm not on the Tua wagon. I was watched a ton of Alabama games. I just don't think. I think even by then I'd be surprised if he's healthy playing. But
That's true.
I have Washington squeaking out this one.
Dang. Okay.
Is he already banged up, by the way? Is he already banged up this year?
No, he put on like 20 pounds. He actually got a lot thicker.
That's what his big thing was. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ryan Clark comments, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
but obviously put on some weight. He's been getting hurt every year. He's like,
That's true.
I gotta do
Ain't gonna help
here.
that arm though. Putting on weight ain't gonna change the arm strength. But
That's
whatever.
true.
Well, it won't.
Hip, that hip, people need to remember. That was the Bo Jackson injury, and although it's maintained, you start to hit that year 5. That's when you're going to start seeing more arthritic issues with him.
See, now I want to change my answer.
I talked to a couple doctors about that, and they said the same thing. It's come a long way, but you start to hit that 5-year mark. He's taking hits. The point is, when you get that surgery, you can heal and be okay, but you're not supposed to take hits ever again. So, that's going to be something to watch for him.
Right.
If this thing was on the road, I think I'd say loss. I think I'm going to go win, even though it scares me that I'm pulling the rapper Big Pooh this year because I've now got him at like 7 out of the last 8, which I just don't know is feasible. But
Man.
why not? I'll take the win here.
Magical season. I'm looking forward to it, Doug. It'll be great. It'll be awesome.
I know.
Yeah.
There's no chance. I'm such a homer. All right. They fly out to LA for the Rams. I'm down on the Rams. I really want to pick a win here. But
Yeah.
now we're getting into dangerous territory that is most likely unrealistic. So I think just for the sake that I don't know how they would pull it off, I think I'll go loss here. But I'm not really big on the Rams. I mean, Stafford's still got years left, I think. I don't think he's washed, but I don't like the roster necessarily that they have after they spent everything to get a Super Bowl. Not that I wouldn't do the same thing to get a Super Bowl. I'm sure nobody's complaining out there about the Super Bowl, but I don't think the roster is very good. I'm really wobbling on this one too, where I think they could go out there and win by 10. I think they could go out there and lose too. So I think for the sake of not making my schedule look crazy, I'll give them a loss here, but I don't know that that's the right move. John, what do you think?
Well, again, for years and years, I've always been if a team's one dimensional on offense, you automatically have a leg up, right?
Yeah.
So I just do not see that offense being that dynamic, and I respect Stafford. I mean, I think he had a down year last year. I think he was banged up actually. He had some sort of a hand injury or something like that, if I remember correctly. But I don't respect their offense enough. And I think by that time, you're giving Howell reps. He's starting to see different defenses. They're starting to do a more install. He's getting more comfortable. So I feel like they can go out and beat the Rams on the road.
Quickly, Adam, I saw Sadiq Charles got named the starter at left guard. You like that? You like him there better than Paul, or he's just the best of what we got?
I think I like Paul a lot, but I think, there's not as much rust to that. I think Sadiq, he's just got to prove he can stay healthy. I think if he stays healthy, he gives you a level of athleticism right now that maybe Paul doesn't have quite yet, because again, he's still adjusting from moving to tackle to inside, just like Sadiq Charles is, but Sadiq Charles got a couple years on him. But for right now, I have no problem with the move, but again, I just don't see him staying healthy.
If that pans out, that gives them a pretty young and really athletic group of guards to build on. They actually might have still, I think they always wanted Sadiq to do it. He just couldn't put it together to stay healthy. So it'll be interesting.
Right.
I like the upside there.
Yeah.
Okay, my bad. Who do you have here, Adam, with the Rams?
Just like you, it's one of those scenarios that, we've seen a bunch of wins, might not be right thing, but I think there's got to be a letdown game somewhere, and that's going to be the one for me.
All right. And then for me, I'm turning our fortune around. So I had 4 straight losses in a row. I don't know if you guys noticed that at all. So I think Washington's going to turn it around. I think the Rams are basically, they're going to be rebuilding. I think Cooper Kupp's already injured. He's older. He's 30 years old. Matt Stafford's in his mid 30s as well. I could see Los Angeles start packing it up a little bit and start getting ready for the future, start moving ahead a little bit. So I think Washington's going to go to LA. I'm not scared. I got a W right there.
They're probably going to win that game. All right. The following week they go off to, what is this? The Jets?
Meadowlands. Yeah.
Yep.
This is another one that I have a question mark on. That team, they built that team the right way also, I think. And obviously you add Aaron Rodgers to the mix, and it'll be tough. I think I like a bounce back here on I'm not sold on the Jets at all. I'll take a W here. Adam, they've got a lot of weapons on offense. Maybe that isn't the right move. How do you see this team now that they've added Aaron Rodgers to the mix?
I think, of course, on paper, you look at it, they're trying to get that offensive line going, but I think that's going to be the demise for Aaron Rodgers. I think that offensive line is such a work in progress. Becton named the start. A lot of those guys, coming from injury. So by then, if it was early in the season, I might give the Jets a nod. But I think at this point, number one, either the offensive line just keeps getting battered. Cook doesn't change the pendulum for me. And Rodgers, same thing. I think by then, this whole scenario of, him saving the Jets, I just don't think it's going to happen. So I think Washington, it'll be, closer than people think. But I do think it'll be Zach Wilson that's the quarterback in that match.
Interesting.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Because he's hurt. They didn't bench him because he stinks.
No, because he's hurt.
Okay. All right. George, it's interesting that, the Commanders tried to go after Rodgers. To me, of the big name quarterbacks that have moved recently, I don't think he's washed. He's got several more years he can play, depending on injury. Adam, I'm glad you brought up Cooks because I forgot that he even ended up there. I don't think he's washed. He's got time left. George,
Right.
How do you see this matchup going?
With the Jets, I think it's kind of show me, don't tell me, right? Right now, they're kind of the sexy dark horse team, and everyone kind of thinks they're going to run the table and be very powerful and be very strong. Aaron Rodgers, I do think there's some talent in the tank, but I think at the same time, is he going to be interested or not? I saw a disinterested and disengaged Aaron Rodgers walk around FedEx Field last year, with the Green Bay, and we were beating up on his team. So I think I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence right now. I think they could be a pretty good team, but that division's tough. You know, they have the Bills in there, the Dolphins is there as well. So I don't think they're going to be as dominant as everyone thinks they are. And I think Washington's going to pull that one out. So I'm going to pull a W for Washington.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that offensive line because on
Yeah.
paper, you know, they're the sexy team. They're the sexy team. You know, you
Yeah.
look at the defense, you think that could be like top 5 defense in the league. And in fact, I think last year they were somewhere around there, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know enough about that offensive line as it pertains to what Zach Wilson was doing. And I'm not big on that guy either. Plus, you know, of course you can feed Garrett Wilson, right? He's the new Devontae Adams type. But I mean,
Yeah.
if that offensive line isn't good enough to get those backs going, then you're into that, you know, one-dimensional type thing. And Rodgers really didn't play well that last year. I mean, his receivers didn't do him any favors, but I don't know, man. I'm on the fence on this one, but I'm actually going to give the Commanders a win. I really am, because I'm not buying into the Jets.
I like it.
Then they catch the San Francisco 49ers at home. This is an interesting one, too. This is another one that I have the big question mark put on my schedule. George, we'll start with you. What do you think about this team? You sold on the 49ers?
This one's interesting to me. I think the 49ers can go either way, right? So is Brock Purdy going to basically...
Not to cut you off, George, but this game could be really meaningful, too.
Huge.
At the end of December.
Could be.
100%. I think it's a gigantic game. Yeah, I think you and I talked about it before, Doug. I think the 49ers game, the Seahawks game, and the Giants games are going to be huge. Even Falcons are going to be like playoff contention games for us. I definitely see that as well. It's interesting. Watching San Francisco, they're a very complete team. They have a very good offensive line, a great defense. So I have confidence in them. Kyle Shanahan's smart. But Brock Purdy's a big question mark. He had a good stretch run last year, but, you know, is he going to be Cinderella? Is he going to basically, you know, poof and become a pumpkin and not be a great player anymore? Or is he still going to be an awesome, you know, a great contributor to the team? You know, I got to give San Francisco the benefit of the doubt. They've been playing well for years and consistently, despite their record, getting the NFC Championship game. They go there pretty consistently year over year. They have a good playoff runs. So I'm going to give San Francisco the win here, but I don't feel comfortable about it. This is an intriguing one for me. I definitely have a big question mark next to it, but I'm going to give San Francisco
and I believe it's almost a brand new offensive line minus Trent Williams in the center. I think they replaced a bunch of people. I know McGlinchey is out from right tackle. I think the guards are different. So I think they've got a line that's a work in progress. Also, John, it's both teams could be playing for a playoff spot here.
The matchup here is Kyle Shanahan and Eric Bieniemy.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, right.
These two defenses are they're beasts. I mean, Commanders and 49ers are going to have good defenses. So then it comes down to the quarterbacks. I'm not a Brock Purdy guy. I think the more tape that's out there on that guy, he just doesn't have the tools. It's nothing against him. Look, I mean, I get argued with Cody Betts all the time with this guy, but he just doesn't have the arm. So Kyle Shanahan can only do but so much, you know, with a guy who can't stretch defenses. So you're dealing with this Buffalo nickel defense that's going to pinch down toward the line of scrimmage, and it's going to make it tough for that offense. So I'm actually going to pick the Commanders in this game.
I like it.
Adam, what do you think?
Yeah.
Tell me, do you know who's on this offensive line? It is pretty new offensive line, is it not? Do you know?
I can pull it up.
Yeah,
Wow.
very new. I don't even know most of the guys. I think just like the Jets, I'm going to say Sam Darnold's going to be the quarterback at that point. And I'm not sure if it's going to be performance or injury, but one way or another, I think Darnold's going to be the starter, and I think Washington rolls on that. I think, you know, with Deebo Samuel and Kittle, I think by then, too, they're going to run Deebo into the ground because that's their top weapon.
Exactly.
I think you just keep using a guy like that. I love him, but I think by then Washington's going to catch him at the right time. So really, they're just going to have to really focus, you know, most of their attention on Kittle. And I think with a guy like Curl, Defoe, Butler, all the guys that they have, I think this is the year Washington does not get eaten up by tight ends. I think they finally have addressed the type of players that can cover those. So I think Washington wins by 10 running away with this.
I do agree with that. Doug, do you want me to talk about the offense?
They'll need to, too, because they're going to play most of the premier tight ends in the league this year.
Yep.
I agree. Do you want me to go through the offensive line, Doug, or you don't mind? Or you don't care about it?
Yeah, I am curious who's on there.
Yeah, so Trent Williams, obviously stud. Their left guard is a second-round pick from 2021, Aaron Banks. They have an unrestricted free agent. Jake Brendel is their center. a
Okay.
4th-round pick in 2022, Spencer Burford, and then their right tackle is a 5th-round pick from 2020, Colton Mikovits. I don't really know much about them, to be honest with you guys. I don't know if you guys do.
All underachievers. Like I know pretty much all these guys. There's a lot of hope with those guys. I think they're in the same situation Washington is with, Charles and
Sadiq and all those guys.
Cosme, and then even Gates. So I think they're in a very similar situation. A lot of hope with that offensive line.
Yeah, they're probably scheme guys, right? I mean, Kyle probably said they got to fit my scheme, right? So as long as they can fit the scheme, he can make it work, especially if you got a solid left tackle, a Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famer. You know what I mean?
They definitely got that. I'll take a Commanders win here as well. They play the 49ers good all the time, and I just think they have a better roster right now.
Yeah.
And Adam, you said win or loss?
I have a win.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then they finish out the season as they do with the Cowboys at home. And again, this could be a huge game with tons of playoff implications here. We've been splitting these things, so if we're splitting them, I'll take the win here.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, George. You go.
No, same thing. I'm right
George
there with
was the only one that wasn't necessarily. You are splitting them, but you had.
This is the flip. This is. I'm pulling the Doug right here. So this is the home and home wins. I got the win for me for Dallas or for Washington. That's what I have right here.
All right. So where are we now in terms of the playoff picture? Where are we all looking in terms of wins and losses?
Yeah, I'm gonna start counting them up while you guys speak, if you don't mind. Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll go. Actually, Adam, we can pop in Adam's real quick from early. So I'm assuming you have Cardinals at home, Adam.
Yes.
And then off to the Broncos.
Yes.
Then at home against the Bills.
Loss.
Then on the road to the Eagles. You have lost. Then at home against the Bears.
Loss.
You like Justin Fields?
So I think that's going to be one of those 17-14 games. Bears pull it out.
On the road to Atlanta.
Win.
And I think that catches you up, because you got in on the way to the Giants.
This last one, I had Washington on Thanksgiving, so Washington loses this playing Trey Lance. I have it.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, interesting. Wow. All right.
Yeah, I guess I took the loss, on Thanksgiving, so I'm going to give the Commanders a win.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Got that split situation going on because I think they match up well against the Cowboys, and Hal, obviously, without any prep whatsoever, you know what I mean? Like he has 1 week of basically taking snaps with the first team and he's able to beat them, and I think Dallas did have something to play for, by the way. This notion that they didn't is not the case. They did have something to play for. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So. And in fact, when I talked to the guy that covers the Cowboys, he said as much. Like they definitely kept their starters out there. Yeah. Up until like a little part early in the third quarter, they had, albeit a very small shot, they still had a shot of getting home field. So there was a reason Michael Parsons was still out there in the third quarter.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. All right, George, drum roll.
All right. So of the group, I'm the pessimist with 10-7 wins. We were 10-7. I'm the pessimist here. Okay, interesting. Adam has us at 11-6. He's right there in third place. John has us at 12-5, and Big Doug is giving like a very epic season, 13-4 for the Washington Commanders.
What am I doing? What am I even doing? Never have me on again. I didn't realize I did that.
Yeah, that's what happens when you just do them without looking at the whole thing.
It's nuts.
Yeah. Well, that's why, like halfway through, I was thinking to myself, "Oh man, this is going to be a homer pick. I'm going to have so many wins here."
Right.
But listen, why not? Right? I mean, I think that's where we're at now. New ownership. Why not? Why wouldn't this be the year?
Right.
And imagine the team goes 13-4. Dan Snyder would be somewhere crying.
Yeah.
And I mean, just imagine if that's how that goes. Listen, we know this. They've got to have quarterback play good enough to allow the defense to keep them in every game. I think that is the key to success this year. So let's wrap this way, and I'll ask each of you the same question. And John, I'll start with you.
Sure.
Both sides of the coin. If they get to your record prediction, why? And then if they don't, like what will keep this team from getting there?
Good question.
Well, the easy answer is quarterback, but let's all be honest about the state of this team for however many years you want to go back. Under Ron Rivera, they haven't had consistent QB play. And I don't necessarily think that the quarterback is always in his system is always the make or break in terms of, having to have 5,000 yards and be a Kirk Cousins type stat collector, type guy. If they can get a guy in there like Hal, I think he's a guy that doesn't turn the ball over. He's risk averse. He's going to look deep and then take what people give him. And sometimes he's going to take sacks. We saw it in the preseason. So I think if he doesn't turn the ball over like a knucklehead, they'll stay in games, and it's possible that they go 12-4, 12-5, whatever the case may be. What did we say? 12-4?
12-5, right?
If he, as Eric Bieniemy puts more into the offense, they do more install, and he struggles with that stuff, and he's taking sacks, fumbling the ball, turning it over, and he takes his lumps because basically this is his rookie year. I see that path to them having, 6-7 win range, which a lot of people are that's why the Vegas number is 6.5. Right. So I think it all falls on the quarterback. I know it's an easy answer, but it really is, especially with Ron Rivera. He's got to get consistent QB play. And I think he can stretch defenses. That's huge for him.
George, if we take quarterback out of it, what is the key to the success of this team?
So my argument would be the defense and the offensive line. So the pro and the con, right? So I think the defense, if it's as advertised and it's as powerful as we think it's going to be, it's going to keep us competitive every single game, right? If we're generating sacks, if we're stopping the run, if we're keeping games competitive, I think our team is actually pretty multiple in the way we can score. Like, I think we do have a passing attack, but people sleep on like Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson. I think we're going to pound the ball a lot. I think we're actually going to run the ball more often than people think. So I think if we're going to get to 10-7, we're going to be kind of a nitty gritty team. It's going to be like 21, 20, 17, or the Washington way. We've been watching for years. That's going to get us to 10-7. I think if we're going to falter more than that, I think it's going to be more of our offensive line. I think Sam Howell is going to give us a pretty strong base. I think he's going to be like a Taylor Heineke, maybe a little bit better than that. I think he is going to be better than Heineke. I think he's going to be more of like a solid quarterback who doesn't kill us. I think he's going to have good games, going to have some bad games. But I think if the offensive line doesn't even let him develop or even progress or even see anything, that's going to be a messy year all year long. That could lead us to that, that ugly 11 win season, but I don't see it being that bad. I think Eric Bieniemy will scheme around that. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Somebody will have to explain to me how Vegas got to 6.5, because it just feels like they're goading people into betting it. It is odd to me because the 6.5 just seems so ridiculously low. And
it does. It's at least 7.5 I would buy. That's kind of 6.5 I would take the over.
Like, obviously 100%. The 13 is funny, and I always thought that we'd be at 9. And I'm actually surprised I ended up with 13, but the 6.5 is just so as comical as 13 may sound to me. 6.5 is more comical. I think we got a better shot at getting to 13 than we do losing, only winning 6 games. It sounds crazy to me. Right. Adam, final one for you. What do we got to do to get to these win totals?
Yeah, I think you saw the clear effort was to upgrade, DBs to try to, cause more turnovers, ranked 28th and 29th consecutive years. I think, you get to 10-11 wins. We're seeing a turnover a game at least. This defense ranked in the top 3 in turnovers. I think that's the first thing. And then, like George mentioned, the running backs, I think you see Gibson and Robinson combined 2,500 yards all purpose. I think those two together, that gets you to 9-10 wins. I'm a believer in Sam Howell. I just think at worst, he's going to be middle of the pack, and sure, he's going to take some stupid sacks, turnovers, but I don't think he's going to be the issue. I think you're going to see a lot of these 5-man fronts. We talked about they lost Mathis, but James Smith-Williams, another guy I got to talk to, he's playing a lot inside. He's going to have a lot of reps in that 5-man front. And I think when you get all that going, that's just going to lead to more tip balls, more turnovers. And that's what, I see them as a floor of 7 wins. I see them as ceiling, in that 10 range. So 11 wins wasn't too far of a stretch for me.
All right, fellas, appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. These things always
definitely.
Every year so comical to get the win totals at the end and not keep them as you're going. John, you were great today, man. You're welcome.
Thanks, man.
Back
Thanks for having me.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, just I'm a DM away, man. Or you got my number, so just holler at me. Let me know. I'd love to come on during the season. So yeah.
All right, that'd be great. All right,
Appreciate
fellas, we will see you guys Monday.
See you Victory Monday, guys.
That's right.
Definitely.
All right, guys.
Bye.